Ai piedi della siepe verso il lago crescono bucaneve e lebori, ma anche ciuffi di narcisi, crocus. È una siepe campestre. Arbusti che fioriscono a fine inverno, come il calicanthus, amamelis, noccioli. Un altissimo prunus con un'esplosione di fiori rosa attira.
Love this film in its centering on nature and life regrowing and reclaiming its space in urban environments. And you really got that straight from the beginning with the train running beside the garden, the harsh frost covered land under a deep slumber of a harsh winter. It just felt like a very meditative approach to filmmaking, an inspired approach to filmmaking. The walking through the environments with the sonic accompaniments really did make me feel as a viewer like I was the one taking this journey, and I got to have that connection with the environment in a more sensorial and visceral way. Um, it was also lovely to watch the process of a garden coming to life, but also get to meet the individuals who are doing this gardening and this creation and this tending to the land and what their ethos is behind all of it and their philosophy. There was really this tranquility in the piece that kind of swept me away with it, and I felt like that's like the actual act of gardening itself, where there is this flow state and you kind of lose that sense of time. And I was so lovely to be able to lose my sense of time in watching this piece.
Showing how, every garden has its own function, its own style, its own vegetation, and different species that inhabit it, and different reasons why they exist. And it's kind of uncertain how every garden is going to blossom or not, or how just working with wildlife and in nature in general, it's uncertain. But also on top of that, seeing the people who are putting the time and energy into these gardens and becoming one with the soil and the land, and understanding not only what their goal is for this garden, but just having the knowledge and appreciation of the different types of vegetation that would do well in these areas, and how to nurture them, and how to allow them grow to the best of their ability. It was a really soothing piece to watch, and there wasn't a ton of interspersed dialogue throughout, but I think when you did include it, it was very informative and it was very poignant.
I especially loved the intro shots of all of the different versions of what a garden can be. I really loved the juxtaposition of the vegetation with the graffiti. I think that it really showed the very different forms of undervalued art shown together, which I thought was cool. I also enjoyed seeing how nature persevered in all these unlikely places, like the asphalt or in construction pits. I thought that was really beautiful. And I really enjoyed how each interview was conducted while the subject of the interview was in their own environment, working on their gardens with their hands dirty. I felt very relaxed listening to them and being educated on what they do. I think the music also really helped with that and helped to tie everything together and really show that this work is an art form in and of itself.
Very deliberately paced, a little slow paced, but I still thought that it was pretty interesting. It spends a lot of time focusing not just on giving the audience information, as most documentaries would, but on establishing a real sense of mood and a sense of atmosphere. There's lots of lengthy sequences of landscape shots with some minimal, again, atmospheric music to kind of get you in the headspace that the film wants you to be in. And I think that these visuals do a good job of portraying the nature and the rural environment that the film is so interested in discussing and exploring. I think that it does a good job of presenting its subject matter with a good deal of depth, presents it quite clearly in a way that is still interesting, still engaging, but it's not overly distracting. It's not very flashy. It's very grounded. It's very down to earth and almost plain, but in a way that feels very deliberate and appropriate for what the film is setting out to do.
I love the music and the sound effects that give a perfect complement to the images. Their footage of nature surviving, recovering, growing, and thriving in spite of human activity and their negative effects of humans in these different settings and around abandoned buildings and people just growing their own food in unassuming, unsuspected locations. The trees, these images of a pond, the bird's nest, the bees, and the changing scenery based on the seasons. It is just an quite appealing visually film, but also moving, and the passion of growing your own food, the nurturing it involves, and one of the people there talked about being grateful, and I totally get it. It's just beautiful to see the nature being preserved and taken care after instead of just destroying.
They really took their time to showcase the nature and showcase the beauty of these different spaces, and that they all kind of served a slightly different purpose, and they weren't all the same because no gardens are truly the same. They can have different functions and have different histories, and all of them had such rich, interesting ways that they kind of came to be, and I thought this was such a lovely way of kind of showcasing that, and also how important gardens are, not just to the people that get to use them and get to be around them and get to maintain them, but also when it comes to bees, when it comes to birds, when it comes to natural ecosystems and habitats and things like that.
One, I really like the vibe. It really, what I think on certain gardens, my favorite thing about it is that like it gave me the vibe of like gardening. Like I never really gardened or anything or whatever, but like I got, I guess I felt like, at least in my opinion, I felt like I got some sense of the peace that gardening and this garden has given these people. Um, which I think that is a testament to the filmmaking and as far as like communicating that experience of these people to the audience. So I thought that was really effective. It gave me the peace. It gave me like some sense of the peace, at least, of what gardening is like and what it is like to garden for this garden, and like what give me a sense of understanding of why people do that type of thing. Also, I really like the beekeeping stuff. I thought that was very interesting. I always think that beekeeping is an interesting like field of like work and study, um and to listen to these people talk about it and like share their expertise was fascinating.
I think the cinematography was very nice. The stretches of like, no talking while they're showing all this beauty and all this, nature and techniques and, how they were gardening and farming and all that. It was very impressive, very cool, very nice.